Hi, I'm your host, Marcia Florence with Just Ask. And recently we had the opportunity to go to the Library for the Blind and Physically Challenged. We want you to join us in watching this very special presentation because it's a two-part. So, I want to welcome you to our show as usual, but I want you to enjoy the first half of a two-part series of the Library for the Blind and Physically Challenged. Hi, I'm your host, Marcia Florence for Just Ask. Today our show is the Library for the Visually and Physically Impaired. And our guest is Oakland County Librarian, Betty Ramey. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Marcia.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. Now, Betty, we're here on location at the Oakland County Library for the Visual and Physically Impaired. And I want you to start off telling us a little bit about yourself, involvement with this library, and some history.
Well, I've been with the county for about 20 years, but I've been the librarian for this library since 1994. When we moved to this location, this library was formerly in Farmington Hills Library in the lower level. And in 1994, we moved the library to this location because it's a more central location. And we do serve everybody in Oakland County, so we needed to have it in a central location.
Okay. Now, this is a pretty large library. Give us a little bit of the historian about the library in itself. How did this library, or how this form of a library come about?
Well, this program is part of the National Library Service, which is part of Library of Congress. And that was started in 1931, believe it or not. And at the time, it served only blind adults. And as it moved forward, there were some changes made to include blind children, and later they included physically impaired as well. So basically, our patrons include anybody who cannot read standard print.
Okay.
That's the criteria set down by the Library of Congress for us.
Okay. Okay. Now, Betty, I see you got an array of good information on the table. Want to give us a little bit of information on anything in particular?
Well, we of course have our own brochures out here. We put this information out here so people coming into the library can pick anything up that would be useful to them, and that does include our brochures. It includes a fact sheet about the service. It includes some books put out by the National Federation of the Blind.
Okay. So all these books here are basically information for the blind?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything
I see
on
you
the
have something
table.
about Braille. What is the Braille alphabet?
This is a Braille alphabet. We keep a stack of these cards because we do have groups come through to do tours, Boy Scout troop, Girl Scouts, school children, and we always have these alphabet cards to give out to them because they're so interested, and they spend most of their tour going around seeing if they can learn this Braille alphabet.
Okay.
And we keep some information here on products that are available to people who have visual impairments, and we keep cards of the vendors that would provide those kinds of equipment to them.
So people who have low vision can also get materials that will allow them to be able to use, say like the telesensory. So the telesensory is that device which we're going to see in a few minutes, but they actually can pick up literature about new devices that just come out?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And about the vendors, so they can actually make that call to that vendor and purchase the equipment if it would help them.
Okay.
In the meantime, we do have some information or some equipment that we loan out to people on the 30-day basis, just so they can see if it will help them.
Now let me ask you this: when a person is it checking out a book or checking out an audio tape? What are they checking out?
Well, actually, they're checking out this book. This book is contained in this little green box, and we have about 70,000 of these in this library.
Okay.
And the books are unabridged. They come complete. Every word that's in the book is also on those tapes, and they're supplied to us through the National Library Service.
Okay, so this is actually a tape?
Yes, it is a cassette tape.
A cassette tape. Okay, so how does one know when they want a book from this particular library or type of library? How do they know what book to order?
Well, they get a catalog. They can get the catalog either on cassette or in print, and then they just go through those, and they can order by author, by title, or by this. We call them accession numbers, and they're purely numerical. If you look around at our stacks, it starts out at a very low number, and it just continues to get larger and larger.
Now, do your what do you call them? Patrons, customers?
Our patrons.
Patrons. Do your patrons know, or I'm sure the ones who come here probably do, but a lot of people may not know, that if you need to return a cassette or a book from this type of library, it's free of charge?
Oh, we make sure we tell them that.
Okay.
Everything from this library and from any library for the blind and physically impaired goes out by United States Postal Service. When the act of Congress in 1931 established the library service, they also established free mailing privileges. So everything goes out free matter for the blind. If you look in the corner, everything we send out has that stamped, and it also comes back to us free matter for the blind.
Okay, so they can order it, and you guys can send it to them free of charge, and they can send it back free of charge.
That's correct.
You can't go wrong with that. Okay. That's pretty good. And that's not a standard library. That is a library that's designed for the visually and physically impaired.
That's correct.
Okay, that's good. I see you have information about older adult services and AARP. So you have a lot of seniors that come in to seek services also?
Actually, the majority of the people using this library are over 60. We have programs that can tell us how many patrons are over 60, and the majority of them are mainly the main thing that a majority of our patrons have is macular degeneration, which happens as you get older usually, and so the majority of our patrons are older. So I try to keep information here that will alert them to other services that are available to them as well as this library.
Now, is this the type of library that you can actually sit in and read material or listen to material, or is this mainly like a walk-in, check-out library?
Well, actually, we don't see a lot of our patrons. We have patrons that we've never seen, and people can come in here, but they usually don't, simply because when you have visual impairments, you usually have some mobility impairments as well.
Okay.
And I'll get a plug-in for transportation. A majority of our people have difficulty. There's no real good public transportation to get them to the library. So we talk to them on the phone. A majority of our interaction with our patrons is on the telephone, and then we send them the books, and we hear back from them frequently if they like them, if they don't like them.
What is the turnover time? How long can a person keep a book? Is it the same way?
No, we check them out for a real long period. We check them out for at least 2 months, and we never charge any overdues. We tell them they should send it back in 2 months, and the majority of the time they do that.
Okay.
But we have to allow for that mailing time, the going back and forth in the mail.
Okay. So, Betty, overall, how many libraries for the visually and physically impaired are there?
Well, this is a nationwide program, so every state has services for the visually impaired. In Michigan, there's 2 regional libraries, and there's 11 sub-regional libraries.
Okay.
And we're a sub-regional, and our regional library is located at the state capitol in Lansing.
Okay. Because I'm under the impression that a lot of people don't know that this type of library even exists. You see a sign that says library, but you don't normally see a sign that says visually and physically impaired.
Well, that's very true, and I think we've tried really hard to get the word out, and your show is giving us one more opportunity, and we're so happy you're here.
Well, thank you. Okay. Well, Betty, I tell you what, we're going to take a commercial break, come back with some more good stuff, browse around the library for the visually and physically impaired. We'll be right back.
There is a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
I'm principal of a new kind of public school. It's open up to 15 hours a day, year-round. It has loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. We have medical and dental services right here. Our teachers have more time to teach. Our students are better prepared to learn. There's just one problem. We can't get the kids to go home.
Find out how your public school can be more like this one. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
So, Betty, we're on a tour of your library itself in Oakland County. Tell me, what can we possibly see in these beautiful aisles?
Well, Marcia, what you're looking at here down these aisles are our children's books. We've devised this wonderful way of telling our children's books from our other books by simply marking these little black marks on them, and we've brought them all up here to the front, so when our younger patrons come in, they don't need to go all the way to the back to find their books. They simply stay here in the front part, and that also gives our staff a few more opportunities to interact with our younger readers. So that's what you're seeing on these first aisles here.
Okay, so you actually can teach the children how to know by the number what their books are?
Well, they can look it up in the catalog or on the computer, and they can identify it by the number, but many of our younger readers, as you can imagine, want things like Harry Potter and the newest books, so they can look it up by the title they're looking for.
Okay. So when you say books like Harry Potter, you mean tell me that the library is so advanced it has the very recent or latest novel of Harry Potter or anything like that?
Pretty much, because the Library of Congress many years ago, when Bill Clinton was president, got some copyright laws passed that helped ensure that the books would be recorded earlier than they were at one time. So now we don't have a real long lapse between the time they show up in print and the time we get them on cassette.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's move right along and see what other good things you got here.
Okay.
Okay, Betty, so, you know, I'm impressed with the materials in this library, and what could possibly be over in this section?
Well, Marcia, this is our large print section. We have many readers who still have some vision, and they still like to read their books, so we do keep these large print books, and we mail them out exactly as we do the recorded cassettes. We provide them with a catalog telling them what's available, and they choose their books, and then we mail them out to them, and they mail them back to us. Okay. Now, the good part about this, too, though, is we don't limit this collection to our visually impaired patrons. It's on our union catalog with about 100 other libraries, and whoever asks for a large print book, we're happy to loan it to them.
Okay, now this is a nice book, Hook or Crook, and I mean, when I opened the page and saw how large the print is, this is really nice. So a person who has, is it low vision, poor vision? Is it any particular?
Actually, we don't set standards for our large print books, but I think the standard print is 18 point. But a lot of people, when they first become visually impaired, they still have enough vision left so that if they can read in large print, they prefer doing that, as you can imagine. It's hard to give up reading, so we make those books available to them just so they can continue as long as they possibly can.
Okay, so these books are pretty current too as well?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
What about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but what about magazines? What do you do with magazines?
We have magazines in our cassette collection. We also have some large print magazines. We have Reader's Digest in large print and Literary Reader, which is, I think I might be the only person around still reading that, but it's a wonderful magazine. And we do have magazines in the cassettes. People can choose. I think Sharon mentioned that earlier, that you can have a wide variety to choose from, and a lot of like Consumers Report, Good Housekeeping. Don't think they do People yet, though.
Okay, but that's a good array of magazines and stuff, though, because people are probably under the assumption, well, if this library is designed for visually impaired people, when is the information current? So pretty much the information is current.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We encourage people to continue reading, and we want them to have current material to read, and I think we do a pretty good job of providing that.
I think so. I think you do too. Well, I tell you what, I know you got one more table to show me, so why don't we go this way and see that table?
Okay.
Well, Betty, I know you got some more good information for us, so what's this device here?
This is called the Reading Edge, and this is a machine that scans print and reads it back to a person. So if, say, a student has a textbook and they need to scan it in and have it read back to them, it holds up to 25 pages at a time, and it reads back in different voices, so people have their favorite voice that it can read it back to them.
So this has a variety of different languages?
You can get cards for different languages as well. I only have it programmed for English because that's what pretty much what I've been, our patrons are using, but you can get cards so it can read in different languages.
Okay, nice, okay. And gigantic magnifying glasses.
These are table magnifiers, and we loan these out to our patrons or to anybody. Actually, we don't restrict the loaning to our patrons, and we loan them on a 30-day period. They do have to come and pick them up. We don't send the equipment out through the mail.
Okay, now I wonder if people realize they can borrow something like this, though.
I'm hoping that your show is going to help us get the word out.
Okay, Betty. I believe they'll know after today. Okay, okay.
And this is called a closed-circuit television, and this one is color. Many of them are black and white, and we do have about 7 that we loan those out on a 30-day basis to people, and we say to them, if you decide that it's helpful to you, because they're so expensive, we want you to see if it helps you first before you make a purchase. And if they decide that it's helpful to them, then we provide them with a vendor's name and phone number.
Well, that's a good idea.
So, and this does go to different colors, but most of the people with visual impairments are pretty happy with black and white.
Okay, so you can put anything on there? I mean,
anything. You can see it enlarges the print, and you can make it larger, and you can make it smaller, and you can bring it closer, and there's just a variety of ways you can manipulate the print to make it more readable.
Okay, and what else?
And this is a letter. Just a letter guide. Some people, when they first start losing their vision, they're still able to see, but it's a little difficult for them to write straight. So you put this down on top of a page and write within those lines, and it does give people ability to write.
So that actually lines up with the length of a paper?
This is an 8.5 by 11, goes right on a sheet. And this is a check writing guide, which a lot of people, when they lose their vision, it's so hard for them to not be able to at least sign and write their checks anymore. And again, we just keep this here to demonstrate. and people we tell them where they can purchase these. You can see here on the table we keep a number of catalogs. So and we have more copies of these. So if somebody sees something they like or need, we provide them with a catalog and with numbers of vendors.
Now
that
that's
they
nice.
can get those.
I don't think people think about ordering things from catalogs.
It's a wonderful, wonderful service.
Okay.
There are several vendors, and we try to keep a stack of all their
So
catalogs.
people, can a person just ask you for the address to get a catalog as
Yes.
well? Okay.
You can see we have them out here. We have most of them have 800 numbers, so we've simply copied them off in large letters and put them out here so people can just pick these up and contact the catalog companies.
That's good.
And this is just a variety of different magnifiers here. We have the ones that fit around your neck, the ones that...
This is for around the neck?
Yes.
Okay.
You put this on, and you can see it has two different magnifying glasses here, a small one and a larger one.
Okay.
And so somebody theoretically could read.
Okay, continue to read without having to worry about so much distraction, so you can actually wear this.
Yes.
Okay, I see that pimple. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay.
And this is a stand magnifier, and you just put that on top of whatever you want to magnify.
Okay.
And
Wow. Okay.
this is one you wear around your head, and it has the glasses. And I don't think I'll put that on because I think it would mess up my hair.
Oh, okay. That's a nice one.
And then there's just some handheld ones. And these are all supplied to us by Harold Sedgwick Opticians in Birmingham. And if anybody borrows something here that they think is helpful to them, then we give them a card. We don't sell anything here. Everything is loaned free of charge.
Now these are clocks?
These are talking clocks. I think we...
Okay.
Again, those are just, we don't even loan our clocks out. We simply tell people where they can purchase them.
Refer them to the magazine. And what could this be?
This is a ruler magnifier.
Okay.
So that you put that down on your print and move it along, and some people really like it.
Well, Betty, you have some wonderful things here at the Library for the Visually and Physically Impaired, and we appreciate you inviting us out here in Oakland County. And definitely going to try to get the word out for you and the rest of the ladies about all the wonderful things that the library has to offer. So please feel free to contact us again and come by the studio sometimes, or hey, we'll meet at another library at another time.
Thanks for coming, Marcia. We really appreciated you being here.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm your host, Marcia Florence with Just Ask, and we try to get information out that we feel that you need. So hopefully this information here today at the Visually and Physically Impaired Library will help someone out in whatever services they may need to better educate themselves, or just become knowledgeable, or take a leisure moment and go to the library. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to call us here at the Just Ask Hotline, 248-988-0250, 248-988-0250. And feel free to contact us about any guests that you've seen. And please take a moment out and stop by one of these wonderful libraries. So, you know who I am. I'm your host, Marcia Florence. And what do I always say? If you know someone with a disability, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. Thank you.
I hang out with a pretty trashy circle. The circle that helps this circle by recycling trash. We sort glass, plastic, separate cans, stack newspapers and magazines. Now, thanks to us, there are lots of products made from things we've already recycled. This cereal box wants your Sunday paper. These paper clips, in a more daring life, a 56 convertible. The circle works like this. It starts when we recycle